Welcome to today's Catholic Daily Readings from Christus Dominus Bread of Life. A reading from the Acts of the Apostles. Now they were persevering in the doctrine of the apostles, and in the communion of the breaking of the bread, and in the prayers, and fear developed in every soul. Also many miracles and signs were accomplished by the apostles in Jerusalem, and there was a great awe in everyone. And then all who believed were together, and they held all things in common. They were selling their possessions and belongings, and dividing them to all, just as any of them had need. Also, they continued daily to be of one accord in the temple and to break bread among the houses, and they took their meals with exultation and simplicity of heart, praising God greatly, and holding favor with all the people. And every day the Lord increased those who were being saved among them.
I was falling, I was done, out of strength, out of breath. I had nothing left to bring, just the weight of everything. I was pressed, I was near the end. Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His love endures forever. I should have fallen, I should have stayed, but His love endures forever. You stepped in, you held me up when I could not stand alone. My strength broke, but you remained and called me back by name. Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His love endures forever. I was breaking, I was lost, but His love endures forever. The stone rejected, thrown away, that was me, that was me. And still you chose to make me stand. Still you placed me in your hands. Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His love endures forever. I am still here, I am still held, and His love endures forever. forever.
A reading from the first letter of St. Peter. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who according to his great mercy has regenerated us into a living hope, through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, unto an incorruptible and undefiled and unfading inheritance, which is reserved for you in heaven. By the power of God, you are guarded through faith for a salvation which is ready to be revealed in the end time. In this you should exult, if now, for a brief time, it is necessary to be made sorrowful by various trials, so that the testing of your faith, which is much more precious than gold tested by fire, may be found in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. For though you have not seen him, you love him. In him also, though you do not see him, you now believe. And in believing, you shall exult with an inexpressible and glorious joy, returning with the goal of your faith, the salvation of souls. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Then, when it was late on the same day, on the first of the Sabbaths, and the doors were closed where the disciples were gathered, for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood in their midst, and he said to them, Peace to you. And when he had said this, he showed them his hands and side. And the disciples were gladdened when they saw the Lord. Therefore he said to them again, Peace to you. As the Father has sent me, so I send you. When he had said this, he breathed on them, and he said to them, Receive the Holy Spirit. Those whose sins you shall forgive, they are forgiven them, and those whose sins you shall retain, they are retained. Now Thomas, one of the 12, who is called the twin, was not with them when Jesus arrived. Therefore the other disciples said to him, We have seen the Lord. But he said to them, Unless I will see in his hands the mark of the nails, and place my finger into the place of the nails, and place my hand into his side, I will not believe. And after 8 days, again his disciples were within, and Thomas was with them. Jesus arrived, though the doors had been closed, and he stood in their midst and said, Peace to you. Next he said to Thomas, Look at my hands and place your finger here, and bring your hand close and place it at my side. And do not choose to be unbelieving, but faithful. Thomas responded and said to him, My Lord and my God. Jesus said to him, You have seen me, Thomas, so you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. Jesus also accomplished many other signs in the sight of his disciples. These have not been written in this book, but these things have been written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and so that, in believing, you may have life in his name. Join us for today's reflection. Jesus asked for this day, not the church, not a pope, not a committee. Jesus appeared to a Polish nun in the 1930s and told her he wanted a feast of divine mercy on the Sunday after Easter. He gave her an image to paint, himself, with red and pale rays streaming from his heart. He gave her a chaplet to pray. He gave her a promise so audacious that the church took decades to approve it. The soul that will go to confession and receive Holy Communion shall obtain complete forgiveness of sins and punishment. Complete, not partial, not proportional to how sorry you feel. Complete, every sin forgiven, every punishment remitted, a clean slate. That is the promise attached to this specific day. Why today? Why the octave of Easter? Because this is the Sunday Thomas touched the wound. The rays in the divine mercy image, the red and the pale, represent blood and water. They flow from the place where the soldier's lance pierced Jesus' side on Good Friday. John saw it and testified. Blood and water came out. The early church understood this as baptism and Eucharist pouring from the wounded heart of Christ. Thomas put his hand into that wound. The same opening that released mercy for the world is the place where Thomas found his faith. He reached into the source and came out believing, My Lord and my God. You can do the same thing today, not symbolically. The wound is still open. The mercy is still flowing. The red and pale rays have not stopped streaming since Calvary, and Jesus is inviting you to stop standing at a distance, stop analyzing, stop demanding more evidence, and put your hand in. What would complete forgiveness change for you? Not the polite forgiveness where God says the right words but you still feel the weight. Complete forgiveness. The thing you have carried for years gone. The shame you wake up with dissolved. The voice that tells you that you have gone too far silenced. Not because you finally did enough penance, because mercy is bigger than your sin. That is the offer on the table today. Jesus told Faustina that he wanted this feast because souls perish despite his bitter passion. He did not die so that you could spend your life unsure whether you are forgiven. He did not rise so that you could carry guilt into every Mass and wonder if this time it will finally lift. He died and rose so that you could walk into a confessional on Divine Mercy Sunday and walk out completely free. The Church does not hand out plenary indulgences casually. The conditions exist because the gift is real. Go to confession, receive communion, pray for the Pope's intentions, pray before the Divine Mercy image. Do these things with a heart detached from sin, and the promise applies to you, complete forgiveness of sins and punishment. And the confession is not optional decoration. In today's Gospel, before Thomas ever arrived, Jesus breathed on the apostles and said, "Whose sins you forgive are forgiven them." He created the sacrament in that room. He gave human beings the authority to speak his forgiveness. The priest in the confessional is not offering his own opinion. He is exercising power that Jesus breathed into existence on the first Easter Sunday. The wound, the breath, the authority, the promise, it all connects. The same Jesus who showed Thomas his wounds is the one who gave the Church power to forgive. The same mercy flowing from his side flows through the words of absolution. Thomas doubted because he was honest. He knew Jesus was dead, crucified, wrapped, sealed in a tomb. Dead is dead. And when the others told him Jesus was alive, he said what anyone would say, "I need to see it myself." Jesus did not shame him for it. He showed up a week later and went straight to Thomas. "Put your finger here. See my hands. Bring your hand and put it into my side." He knew what Thomas needed and he provided it. That is divine mercy, not a vague feeling that God is nice. A specific response to your specific doubt, your specific sin, your specific wound. Jesus knows what you need to believe. He knows what you need to be free, and he is offering it today, but you have to reach out. Thomas could have stood there with his arms crossed. He could have said the offer was too easy, too good to be true, that real faith should not need proof. He could have let the moment pass. Instead, he extended his hand and touched the wound, and everything changed. The confessional is open. The wound is accessible. The mercy is pouring out. What are you waiting for? In the first reading, the early church lived like people who had actually received what was offered. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to community, to the breaking of bread, to prayer. They shared everything. They sold property and distributed the proceeds. No one was in need. This is what forgiven people do. They stop clutching. They stop hoarding. They stop protecting themselves. When you have received complete mercy, you become recklessly generous because you know the source will never run dry. Awe came upon everyone. When was the last time your faith produced awe? Not comfort, not routine. Awe, the kind that makes you sell your property and give it away. The kind that sends you to the temple every day. The kind that attracts outsiders because they can see something real is happening. Every day the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. The church grew because mercy was visible. People looked at the community and saw what forgiveness produced: joy, generosity, fearlessness, love. They wanted in, not because of clever programs or relevant sermons, because transformed lives are compelling. You are supposed to be that evidence. Peter writes to people who have not seen Jesus. You have not seen him, yet you love him. You do not see him now, yet you believe in him. You rejoice with an indescribable and glorious joy. Is that your experience, indescribable joy? Or has faith become a low hum in the background of a life that looks exactly like everyone else's? Divine mercy is not a decoration on the calendar. It is an encounter with the God who pursues you into your locked rooms, shows you his wounds, and invites you to touch them. It is a promise so specific that the church attached conditions to it because the gift is that real. It is an offer of complete freedom that most people will ignore because it sounds too good. Do not ignore it. The wound is open. The rays are streaming. The promise is in effect for the next few hours. Go to confession, receive communion, stand before the image and ask for mercy. Let Thomas be your guide. Reach out, touch the wound. Let the words come out of your mouth, my Lord and my God. Then walk out of that church completely free, not because you earned it, because he asked for this day so he could give it to you.